Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Delhi Township Board of Trustees meeting of May the 26th, 2022. Of course, we always begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. And tonight's moment of silence, wow. Send our prayers of love and support to the families of the Robb Elementary in Valdez, Texas. 19 children, 2 heroic teachers lost sensibly, have been taken from their friends and their family. God, we pray you are embracing their souls. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right, we will begin then with the approval of, wait a minute, we have a few guests here. I do like to welcome Melanie Wagner from Mount St. Joe University. Thank you for being with us. Approval of the minutes then, Mr. Luby?
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees special meeting on May 9th, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Minutes approved.
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees regular meeting on May 11th, 2022, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending May 17th, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Yes. Motion approved. Report from our fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2022-52, resolution authorizing the township administrator to spend greater than $10,000 on behalf of the township, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I'll introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Cameron?
This is for some repair work Public Works will have to undertake, so it's over 10,000.
Okay, thank you.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Significant transactions since the last meeting. As far as deposits, on 5/13, we received $45,000 for workers' comp premium refund. On 5/13, we had another $45,000 deposit for the first quarter franchise fees. On 5/24, we had a $67,000 deposit for motor vehicle license tax, local government distribution, and gasoline tax. As far as disbursements, on 5/12, our payroll was $313,000. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Luby. Trustee correspondence, Trustee Davis?
2 quick points. One, as far as the ironic kids in the park, some residents up there are upset, I guess, at some of the language, especially going around that new play area, which we know. And Chief, I have been bombarded with things, but I know your guys are up there, and we do have a park detail officer that's up there 10, is it 10 in the morning? What time is he up there? 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. There you go. So someone's up there in the evening, but it doesn't hurt if you're out there and you hear a bunch of teenagers and they're using foul language and everything, and apparently a couple of parents have actually gone up and tried to talk to them and were kindly dismissed. Also, don't hesitate to call the non-emergency number for the police, which is 513, of course, 922-0060, 922-0060, and someone's at that desk until, how late at night? Till 10, and then, yeah, and if it gets too crazy, don't hesitate to call 911. If it's just crazy, you're not sure what's going on there. But a real special announcement I do want to acknowledge also, we have cameras up in the parks now. So it wasn't that long ago, a few weeks ago, I guess some teenagers were trying to bust down the women's restroom door. I'm not sure where that stands, although I'd love to hear that you're arrested for that. There you go. So it's not a matter of trying to I spy, but it's a matter of having another point of reference to look at when there is criminal damaging that happens in that park. So those watching, tell your kids, your friends' kids, there's cameras up there. What you do will be seen, and as you have right there, we've arrested 4 for criminal damage in the park. Just don't do it. It's very simple. Hundreds of thousands of dollars has been invested in that property, especially that new play pad. 850,000 was it? Is that, yeah. So please keep that controlled, and the neighbors are appreciative of that. Also, and I know that you'll probably bounce back on our guests in the house, but Honorable Ron Cruzy is in the house, former trustee, served proudly in the township. Good to see you, Ron. Yes, yeah. Okay.
And Dr. Williams just came in. Welcome, Dr. Williams from Mount St. Joseph University. All right, Trustee Sturts, do you have correspondence, please?
Sure. I'd like to acknowledge some more of our employees. Firefighter paramedic Aaron McKnight just received his drone license, took the classes, passed the test. He has a drone license, along with Captain Bishop. So we now have 2 certified drone, I guess, drivers, it would be. Pilots. Thank you. That's the proper word, pilots. So we're very proud of the extra effort they took to achieve those licenses. Also, we want to give a shout out again for one of our police officers, Colonel Adam Cox. A couple years ago, he was involved in an investigation that actually became a national investigation. A St. Paul man was charged with extensive online sextortion, new word for me, that victimized more than 500 minor girls across the country. Colonel Cox worked with them and was able to get them a search warrant. And so thank you. United States Attorney's Office has recognized him and Delhi with their efforts. So again, thank you to our employees. Very, very proud of all of our employees and the work that they do. You just never know how far it's going to stretch what they do here. And also, we were recognized on the news tonight, the case of the child that was abused by stepmother and I don't want to name the father, but the stepmother and her parents, and we were involved in that action. Lieutenant Macalusa, thank you so very much for that. And with Greg being gone on vacation, I just want to say something I think, people say, there's empty things here and empty things here and up on the Delhi Pike, and I think it's gotten better. It wasn't, 18 months ago, we had a 21% vacancy rate in our storefronts. We're down to 10%, and half of that are our large buildings. Setco, down on Bender Road, I guess it actually is. Central Hardware, where we just have a wall right now, hoping they'll do something with that. And thirdly is Party Hoppers. So when you take that 5% out, we only have a 5% vacancy rate in our business district, and I think that's magnificent, and I want to give the Community Development Department a real shout out and a thank you for that. So thank you, Trustee Seavey.
First off, congratulations to all the new alumni living in Delhi Township from Oak Hills, Elder, St. X, Seton, Mother of Mercy, and Mount St. Joseph University. Congratulations to all of you on your completion of your degrees. And along the same line of education, I want to introduce to you a program that's coming to our parks and particularly our Delshire Elementary School this summer. The Oak Hills alumni is doing what's called Stories on Wheels, and we've converted an old school bus into a mobile library with actually retired teachers who have volunteered their time to bring up the literacy rate in some of our youngsters. And we know that through the pandemic, literacy really took a drop. It was one of the most relevant decreases in our performance in education. So this bus that you're going to see, it's wildly painted, you can't miss it, will be at Delshire Elementary this summer, starting on June the 15th from 9:30 to 11:30. And children can go in there. They must be accompanied by an adult, where they will have reading with an instructor, and when they will leave with a free book. And that's being sponsored by the Oak Hills Alumni and Education Foundation, but it's for all children. So Delshire, it will be starting on June the 15th, 9:30 to 11:30, so I hope we all have the opportunity to have our children and our neighbors' children take advantage of this. And I think, Randy, they're also looking to coming up to summer camp, so we may have them there as well. Okay? Thank you.
Trustee Seavey, how frequently will they be up there? Or are they moving around?
They're moving around. It's going to be between Delshire and Dulles School initially, and then as summer progresses, we'll keep you up on the schedule. But it's a wonderful opportunity for caregivers, grandparents who have children to bring them onto the bus, and the bus is decorated on the inside. Even adults, if you have the chance, get on and see Stories on Wheels. It's just a great opportunity to bring up the literacy and the love of reading in our children. So that's my correspondence to y'all, and I'll keep you up to date on Stories on Wheels.
Great.
All right, beginning with our agenda then, Fire Department. Chief Campbell. May I have the motion, Mr. Luby?
Motion to approve a request from Ron Lewis, Our Lady of Victory, Cub Scout Pack 909 Cubmaster, to waive the open burn permit fee for their annual flag retirement ceremony on June 4th, 2022 at Story-Woods Park, 694 Pontius Road, due to community service nature of the activity.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I did have one additional thing I would want to bring to everyone's attention. So this Sunday at Great American Ballpark, we've kind of taken a 4 or 5 year hiatus from participating, but the American Lung Association Fight for Air Climb 2022, our team put together Ben Pritchard, let's see here. I'm trying to see like in the order from left to right. Ben Pritchard, Nick Stanger, Lieutenant Kramer, Austin Eckler, Whitney Esterkamp, and there in front, bodying her medal as well, is Katie LaCasa. So shout out to Katie. She put together this year's team, and they were able to raise $2,835 or $65 towards the American Lung Association. So it is a charitable event. They really put it all on the line. They've been training for weeks, and it's in due course, they pretty much walk the entire upper deck up and down all the way across the Great American Ballpark. So
That's the one that used to be in the crew tower?
correct. So they gave it a shot out here. Worked out really well. The weather held long enough for them to participate. They did get a 6th place finish, and I know they're looking to beat it again next year.
Good, great.
Thank you.
Oh, no, tell them thank you for representing Delhi Township. That's terrific. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Luby, motion, please.
Motion to approve the hiring of Patrick J. Burns as full-time park maintenance worker in the Parks and Recreation Department at a pay rate of $16 per hour upon successful completion of background check, voice stress analyzer, and drug test effective on May 26, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved. Police Department, I have nothing. Oh, Randy, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to add, I had talked to Patrick earlier today, and he has completed his VSA, and he's working on the drug screening. So after tonight, he can go and get his 2 weeks in he works right now part-time at the city, Cincinnati Park, so
Great. Well,
we're happy to have him.
good.
Yes.
Welcome, Patrick. And Randy, do you want to bring up what we just discussed before the meeting? The sway swing?
Yeah, there's been some issue with a couple of the items on the playground. The sway swing in particular, it seems to be overused and not used properly. So in the long term, we're trying to get it, reduced right now. But if we can't get it reduced, we're gonna have to replace, or talking about replacing that swing with regular swings for adults. So.
Well, that's because adults are trying to use that swing, and it's not made for adult use.
Yeah.
And it's not overusing it, it's abusing it. And unfortunately, until the behavior changes, you're right, we may be looking at removing that piece.
Is there signage there that says for 12 and under, 10 and under, anything, or are they supposed to guess at that?
There are signs up. It's age appropriate,
Age appropriate.
12 to 5 and on down. But there's no design of an adult, because an adult has to be with their children too. So it's kind of up in the air on that. Use your own discretion, I believe, and it's it's getting out of hand a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
I thought you were going to give us a calendar, but I think Mr. Luby's got the calendar, right? Okay. All right, now we'll move to the police department, chief. Not a thing?
Thank
Well,
you.
we do have something for the police department, sort of. I'd like to thank DCPA for putting on a terrific golf outing last week. It was a beautiful day. It was hot, but we had a great time, and it was a wonderful event for a good cause. And our police department benefits so much from the work of the DCPA. And your outing was first class. All right, Public Works. Ron,
Thank you, trustees. Happy to
good news?
Yes, some good news. Happy to report one out of the three bigger projects around Delhi are complete. It was complete about 5 days early, even after an excavator fire and, as we all know, plenty of rain. But yeah, they got it back together and it looks good. Traffic's open.
Good.
The other two projects, two city waterworks projects, Fairbanks and in the Leith Road area, they're wrapping it up. We're getting close to a date on paving, but I don't quite have it yet. But I do keep bugging them.
Yeah, that's quite a thrill ride going down Delhi Pike on Lower Delhi Pike.
Sorry, Jack wanted me to, I guess it's not technically a bridge, it's a culvert replacement. So, sorry.
I told Ron, I don't think he said what it actually is. It's the Rapid Run. It's open again.
Rapid Run?
Did you? Well, I didn't listen to you well enough. I'm sorry.
It's the
So it's open. We got a lot of likes and reposts of that tweet
Great.
yesterday and posts, so
Good.
Yeah, within 2
Mr.
hours.
Luby was excited.
All right. And as was the fire department and the police department.
and the school buses. I mean, we just keep running down the list of people that use that road, so. All right, thanks, Ron.
Thanks.
Administration, can I have the resolution, please, Mr. Luby?
Resolution 2022-53, resolution accepting a transfer of properties from Hamilton County, Ohio, authorizing Township Administrator to execute and record the transfer documents, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
So this is accepting a property, well, 7 property transfers through the county or from the county. These are properties that, actually Ron is listed on the auditor's website as the one to call if you have an issue anyway. But this is in the southeast corner abutting our project site, Delhi Town Square. So at the end of Schroyer, there are several properties that were flood project properties many years ago. The county is transferring those into our name since we were taking care of them anyway. And then that'll help with some of the project needs back in that area.
And that's that open green space.
Yeah, if you see, it's in the very back. You'd have to go to the end of Schroyer and you'll see where there's a detention basin that's dry and then property to the south of that. So 7 total properties.
All right, thank you.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-54, resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to sign a letter of intent with Mount St. Joseph University for ground lease at Delhi Park, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution? Mr. Cameron?
So this is a letter of intent, and it could be a resolution, it could be just a simple motion. It's not anything confirming a lease. It's confirming an agreement to explore the idea of Mount St. Joseph doing a baseball stadium at Delhi Park. So this is like a step in if you're going to work something out with somebody, lease parameters, you would have a letter of intent to start. That basically tells Mount St. Joseph that we are serious about the idea too. Now to back up, this is something that started before I got here in 2017. It's been an idea before Dr. Williams started at Mount St. Joe's to consider the possibility of a stadium for baseball and softball at Delhi Park. We've talked about it for the last 5 years. I know I have. And it's finally to the point where Mount St. Joseph is ready to pursue the idea, with some fundraising and other things. And so we're interested. On the surface, it's a win-win for us and them. They get a space to put their baseball stadium within 2 miles of their campus. We get the possibility of using it throughout the summer for our programs. It would be an actual stadium with synthetic turf. Obviously, there are things to work out and understandings to manage and work into an actual lease. This would let Mount St. Joe come onto the property, do surveying, soil borings, explore it a little bit further to then put together a concept plan. We have talked about having some community engagement sessions. So once we get our arms around it, once they've put their arms around what could work, we would have some community engagement so others would have the ability to come and see what this is. And then there would be another final step for the plans and the lease agreement. So this is really just an agreement to explore the idea more seriously. So.
And for those of you, we've all seen the letter, had an opportunity to review it. Trustee Davis, you have any questions?
Questions? No.
Okay, Trustee Sturts?
No,
Okay.
no.
I will move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes.
He's giving us a high five over there.
All right. Moving to community development then. Resolution, Mr. Luby?
Resolution 2022-55, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 306 Anderson Ferry Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Will we combine these with several, or?
We were trying to figure out.
You have to do them individually.
Yep.
Our
There
law
is-
director's not here to tell you that, so
All right.
he said, please tell them that.
I'll be back in a half hour.
But we're 70, Michael, we're 70 down from what he had.
Yeah, this is actually good.
We're 60 down, yeah.
We'll take, so Mr. DeLong, he couldn't be here tonight. He's traveling, and if you see him, he turns 50 tomorrow, so happy birthday to Greg. And Mr. Roach had already a commitment for tonight, so neither one could be here. So I will tell you that they check them each morning of a meeting, and these on your agenda are still in these conditions, so we would ask that you certify them as nuisances.
And there are a ton of these, and I would assume that we are still at that magic number. Probably over 90% of these were not something that we were proactive on. This is what people have called in on. So this isn't us having all the resources in the world to go out there and tell people to cut your grass. It's usually your neighbor or a drive-by or whatever that says, hey, this is not best. Very good.
And I will say, it has been a more difficult year for people to cut their grass. I don't know why. That seems to be a little more prevalent this year than in past years. So there were more than 20 to start, the agenda when we posted it Monday, and there was 8 that came off this morning. We were hoping for more, but I think you have 14 on your agenda.
And was that all? Well, that's good.
All right.
Each 20 plus and 80. So
I will then move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-56, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 332 Glen Oaks, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
The Field of Dreams, no.
Big grass.
I will move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-57, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 465 Burren Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-58, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 856 Gilcrest Lane, declaring emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-59, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 1150 Anderson Ferry Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution?
Is the van parked, is that a van?
Yeah,
Is that
the
on their
grass.
front yard?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
but they weren't turned in for that, obviously.
But that's not that, this is for the grass.
Excessive vegetation.
Yeah, this is just for the grass. They didn't complain about the car.
All right. Please,
Off-street parking?
it would come in as,
Is parking without the right surface underneath the vehicle.
Yeah, that, you wouldn't see that on a resolution. That would just be dealt with internally as a violation.
Okay.
it's one of those things, I know parking is tough in the township, but don't park your cars on your front lawn next to your front door. I just can't imagine it. I mean, I know that people have 4 or 5 cars now and everyone's driving, but my goodness gracious. Am I alone? Hello? What, a pin drop here?
You're fine.
I mean, there's room in the driveway, you're right, okay. Nope, we get it.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-60, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 3940 Delhi Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-61, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4800 Fair Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-62, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4839 Mount Alverna Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I'll introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-63, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5049 Cleves Warsaw Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts? Yes. Mrs. Seavey.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-64, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5196 Delhi Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution?
Where is that?
Behind one of the shops,
Yep, that's
Behind-
behind.
Dollar Tree.
Oh. All right. I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Hold up on that one. Didn't we have a discussion about this strip of grass once before?
I thought it was a bunch of trash that was there once before.
Was that it was trashed,
There was a bunch of trash back there at one time.
and there was a dispute over whose responsibility it was?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Sorry, Jim.
Resolution 2022-65, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5321 Plum Ridge Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-66, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5376 Romance Lane, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-67, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5405 Boutique Court, Delhi Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution? How can you be Boutique Court and Delhi Pike?
I think it's a typo.
You're either one or the other.
So do we need to reread it and take off Delhi Pike? Okay, let's reread it.
Resolution 2022-67, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5405 Boutique Court, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-68, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 6009 Hickory Tree Court, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I'll introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I think the owner is actually, it's not an absentee landlord at all. There's nobody living in there at all. And if you would look to the right, you'd see all those nice, what's it?
All the new houses are.
Yeah, all the brand new house, yeah. Beautiful homes being built there, and everyone in that area, the Hickory, Knoll, Lake, everywhere. You drive back, it's beautiful, and they really do take pride in their whole area there. And then you see this, and this is ironic, not ironic, but sad in some situation, because neighbors have actually called the owner and said, please, you know? So it wouldn't even have to come here and take the time for it, but, you know, it makes no sense, but anyway. Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2022-69, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5321 Plum Ridge Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second.
Hey, can't do
I'm
it
sorry.
twice.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of a conversation. I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Didn't we already see this picture once on another one?
One's debris and one's
Okay,
excessive
So-
vegetation.
but you have to do each one separately, yeah. All right, I will move to dispense with the second,
Same location. two
same,
programs.
same bat channel. All right, I will move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes,
May I ask
resolution passes.
Question. Mr. Soupy, how long does it take from a meeting for this to be taken care of, barring all this rain we're going to be getting? How soon do they get to it?
After rain and mowing, I would say at least 2 or 3 days.
It'll be 2 or 3 days before they'll be able to get to this,
Well,
barring the holiday.
hold on. You're asking how quickly will this grass get cut?
Yes.
There's a 7-day posting period with this action.
Okay. All right,
They're gonna send 'em
somebody
out-
asked
They're
me.
going to send them out tomorrow, then you have 7 days.
Okay,
We have to provide them 7 days with this posted at their property
Okay.
before we can go and cut their grass and
On their
put a levy on their property. So I would say you've got a 2-week, window there if the grass cutters are out and they haven't cut it by then.
And it's 7 days before we put a lien on the property.
It's 7 days before we can go cut the property
Okay.
from the posting.
Okay.
That's the legal requirement.
so as soon as it's cut, we can put a lien on it.
And we're going to send them out tomorrow, so it's, immediately, as quickly as we can possibly make them effective.
All right,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I have public comments, and I have no one signed in. Was there anything from anywhere else? Okay. Then announcement of,
Nothing to say?
Ron has nothing to say. I can't understand that.
Nothing, Ron?
All right.
Just keep the local property owners up to date on this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
All right. Announcement of community events then, Mr. Luby.
The free fishing on Friday at Clearview Lake is May 6th through September 30th. It is 7 a.m. until dusk. It is catch and release only. It's available to Delhi residents only, and it's limited to designated areas around the lake. You can call the park with any questions. The Farmers Market at Clearview Lake, opening day is Saturday, May 28th. It's 9 a.m. until noon. There are 30 vendors offering a variety of items. Performance by Mike Oberst. And you can call the parks with any questions. Delhi Branch Library Adult Book Club, Outlawed by Anna North, is Saturday, May 28th. It's from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. It's at the Delhi Branch Library at 5095 Foley Road. You can contact the library for more details. The Memorial Day ceremony presented by the Delhi Township Veterans Association is Sunday, May 29th from 1 to 2 p.m. It's at Delhi Veterans Memorial Park here at Township Administration Complex at 934 Neeb Road. A shuttle bus will run from Delhi Senior Center to the park just before and after the event. You can contact the veterans with any questions. A Cincinnati beer tasting presented by the Delhi Parks Department is Friday, June 3rd. It's at 7 p.m. at Delhi Park, and it's $20 a ticket. It includes 6 8-ounce beer samples and a souvenir glass. You can visit the township's website to purchase a ticket. The Delhi Historical Society program, Oldest Cincinnati, is Monday, June 13th at 7 p.m., and it's at the Park Lodge on Foley Road. The presenter is local historian and author Rick Pender. Contact the Historical Society to learn more. Delhi Parks and Recreation Summer Concert Schedule. June 16th is Bad Habit. July 21st, The Tillers. August 18th, Forever Diamond. And September 15th is the Danny Fraser Band. And that's all we have.
All right. I think we all want to put in another plea, another invitation to everyone to please come up here on Sunday and attend the Memorial Day ceremony put on by the Delhi Township Veterans Association. They do a wonderful job, and it's a very meaningful ceremony. So I hope we see many people up here Sunday at 1 o'clock. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, June the 8th. Stay safe. We'll see you on June the 8th.